What if Excel could manage your entire investment portfolio and do it automatically? Today, we're going to do just that. I'm going to share with you the ultimate investment manager. It's going to be able to track your stocks, bonds, investments, savings, you name it, whatever you want to put in there with unlimited assets, and it's going to track stock prices automatically. I'm going to share everything with you. It's going to be a great training. I cannot wait, so let's get started. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I've got a really fun training today because I'm going to share with you this ultimate investment manager. And it's going to come with automatically updating stocks and trades, and it's going to come with a complete dashboard. And I'm going to share everything with you, and you won't need any API keys or any other license to use it. It'll just set it up and work automatically for you. You can put in unlimited assets, unlimited stocks, any type of account. We can also add in this notes and text and categories and risk levels on a per asset basis. For each one, we can create unlimited transactions so that we can create as a buy or sell or dividend or whatever type of transaction we can. It's going to save automatically. Every time we add a stock, it's going to update the history of that. So we're going to know the price history. The graphs are going to be all automatic. We're going to be able to actually sort between dates. So we'll have both the stock history date, we have a date range, and a transaction history date. We can also filter by categories if we want to do that. We also have the ability to categorize by asset types, so we can track by asset types. And we've got a comprehensive dashboard complete with just about everything you need for your investments, so we can track just about anything, along with slices so we can understand the risk levels or the stock types or asset types. We can also single out certain sectors if we want to do that. So I've got all that and a whole lot more. I'm going to be happy to share every step with you. So hang on. If you are new to VBA, we will not be covering VBA in this training because it is complex. Of course, I have tons of great VBA trainings, but you won't need to know any VBA, although there is a lot of VBA, and of course that code is open. So if you want to look inside it and update it any way you want, this training is absolutely free, and the code is also open. All the formulas are open. I'm happy to share everything with you. If you do like these trainings, I'm super excited to have you here. I hope you'll stick with me. Let me know every single moment that you like or you don't like, or things that you want to see. In fact, this training also came to us from a suggestion from Philip. Philip says, "Thank you. I will check it out. The stock analyzer is a great tool." He was talking about one of my stock analyzer trainings we did. The investment tracker would be enter stocks, options, and Forex trades. It should allow for different trades to be entered in the same stock at different times and prices. Makes sense. Basic profit and loss line chart showing trend of account size in dollars. So thank you very much, Philip, for the great suggestions. That's what I did for you and everyone else this week, and that came to be the ultimate investment manager here. So we're going to be able to track everything that you need. Most of it is going to come inside this portfolio. So this is where we do all of the adding of assets. We can update them. Each individual asset can have a type, so we can add a new asset. An asset can be just about anything you want it to be. It can be a stock, a bond, EFT, mutual fund, options, crypto, and a whole list of, you can even add more assets if you want. If you do decide to add a stock, we can simply add a stock here. We can also set a ticker symbol if we would like. So let's say we want to add Intel as a corporation. We want to invest in their stock. So I'm going to do INTC, and then I believe it's Intel Corporation. We can write anything we want, and this is a stock, so we're going to put a stock. We can just select the category here of the tech actually, and the risk level, let's say it is moderate. We can put any notes we want. Once we save that asset, it's automatically going to update. It's going to look at the 30-day history, and it's going to grab that 30-day history directly from the stock. And we see here that we select on it right here. Let's pull it up. Intel's right here. So we've got here the history automatically downloaded the 30-day history for Intel. That can be very helpful. Now, maybe we want to buy some stocks of Intel, or maybe we just did, and we want to put that transaction in. We can click add new transaction. Whatever that selected stock, it's automatically going to come up here. Of course, we can select another one. As soon as we exit out, that ticker symbol and the type is automatically going to default. We want to buy some stocks. That current price is automatically going to come up, but we can set the price. We can set the date. Let's just say 5 15, 20, 25, and the quantity of the number of stocks. So let's say we want to buy 100 stocks of this, and we have the total amount of 1951. If there's any fees, we can put them in here. We can then save that transaction. That's automatically now going to be available here. So we just added it. We can make changes if we wanted to. So now we've purchased this, and we have the unrealized profit and loss, which is going to automatically come up once we have some more information from the stock. So we can track just about everything we want. And this stock, we can update all assets. This button will look at all the stocks and update all the prices from the last time we updated. There's no stocks. All of them have been automatically updated. And all of that is tracked in the dashboard. So we're going to be able to track everything. And as we add more and more, it's going to automatically come up here. So we just need to update the data, and maybe I'll add a refresh button on this. So clicking refresh, it's going to update all of it. And we see now that Intel Corporation is down here. We have that, and it's automatically tracked in our total value by investment. And we also have by sector. So tech is going to be part of that since we added it as a tech. Investments by risk factor, investments by type, cash, money market, and stocks is all here. Everything we have here. If we want to also add a bank account or any type of savings account, we can do that as well. So if we take a look inside the portfolio here, we can also add another one. So we add a new asset, and we can add, this time maybe we want some type of cash or money market. We can do a money market if we want to. There's no ticker symbol. And let's just say Fredder's money market. And we can select a category if we want a specific category on that. Maybe it's a savings or something like that, a risk level low. We can just save that asset. And once again, we can deposit money. Once we have that asset available to us, we can add a new transaction and then just deposit. So it's simple. It's just a deposit here. And then we set a transaction date here. And once we do that, we can simply set the quantity. Quantity would be 1 in this case, and the amount of price. Let's say we're going to put in 10,000. As we exit, we see that everything's formatted, the total amount. If there's any fees or commissions for that, we can put that in here. Maybe we want a $5 fee, and we can save the transaction. So it's very, very simple. And we also have here some trend lines. So we see the 30-day trend line of these individual items. And I'm going to show you exactly how, once we get in it, we can see how the trend lines are moving and how we create those using some very, very, very cool Sparklines as we add in those. So if you haven't used Sparklines before, no problem. I'm going to walk you through that. I've also had some really cool self-formatting that I'm going to show you so that we can use these up or down arrows, and we can use the colors accordingly. And I've used 2 different methods on here so I can share that with you. And we'll take a look at where the information has been stored and some of the customizations that you can use. So if you simply just want to use this application and you don't really want to know how it was made, no problem. I've got you covered. If you do like these trainings, make sure you do subscribe. I've got some really, really cool trainings coming up, and over 400 trainings that I've already created. The templates are always free. All you need to do is click the link down below or the download button, and I'll make sure you get this. This one as well is free. If you have some ideas, or you want me to expand on this, or you want to add some additional features, I'd love to do that. And especially for something like an investment manager where it may not be my area of expertise. So there are many things that I'm sure that this template could improve on, and I'll be doing just that, making those improvements next week based on your ideas and your feedback. And all that happens on Patreon. On Patreon, every single week, I create an updated training. So that's called the Feature, Fix, or Focus. And that's where I add additional features, or I fix some issues, or I focus on issues that you want me to do. It's just a few dollars a month, and it's a great way to support this channel. There are tons of other benefits as well. And if you do decide to join and you want to save a little bit of money, go ahead and go for the annual plan, because you're going to save 15% on the annual gold plan. And once you do sign up, I'll include, of course, a 150 updated workbook. We might be up to 175 now. And that means all the updated workbooks will come straight to you in a single zip file. And that's every single Patreon. And it'll include a library. That means a single click to open that updated file, or a single click to go to the Patreon training. So that's really convenient. So I hope to see you inside Patreon. All right, so let me share with you a little bit of how you can customize this for your own needs. Inside the admin screen, we have some settings. And these are the asset types that we have. So it's just kind of a bunch of different asset types, and then a little bit of an explanation. You're welcome to add, update any types that you want. And so keep that in mind, some of these are used inside the code, inside the formulas, and I'll be going over these formulas with you. So there are so many great features of this. This is the date range. This is going to help us out. You can make any changes you want to this date range. This is going to help us out because inside our portfolio here, when we want to filter by certain dates, we don't have too many transactions, but we can do it. So it's all linked here. Or if we want to show the history, we can do just like the last 7 days of history. So it's going to show the last 7 days. So that can be really, really handy. We don't want to necessarily see all that data, especially when we have a lot of data. And notice that the graph is going to update based on all of the data. So it's very handy in that case. So the date range is important for that, and you can expand on that. This particular application will get its data. Notice that it's got stock data automatically. It's going to use an API, but don't worry because this time I'm including this API. You do not need to get yours. You're welcome to see my API because this is your API. I'm not going to be removing it, and you don't need to get your own. It's there for you for free, and that's just because I love you, and I'm super happy to have you here and excited. And I always really appreciate you devoting your time to me. In this era of shorts where things go by super quick and you tend to stick with me for longer videos, I do really appreciate your time. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. You can learn more about the Polygon if you do, but you don't need it. I'm going to be including my API here. So you're welcome to use it. And basically what this API does is it allows us to get stock information. I'm using just a little bit of the capabilities. There are so many capabilities. It is a really fantastic API that allows us to get tons of stock data. So that's yours for free. We have transaction types that you saw briefly, and we have sectors. Of course, you're going to want to expand on the sectors and the categories. You're going to want to create your own. And this allows you to track your stocks by categories so you know which stocks and which ones are doing well and which categories. So that can be very, very helpful. And so that's the admin. Maybe we can expand on that and add more. When it comes to the dashboard, just a brief overview, we want to understand our total stock investments and our total stock value. That could be different, and I'll be updating that accordingly. Then what we want to have is the unrealized profits or loss. So are our stocks up or down currently? We want to know that. What are our total purchases? And I'll be updating some of the formulas on that. And let me just do that now because they're linked to different cells, and I want to make sure that they're all linked to the correct cells. So each one of these, and I'm going to show you how they're linked and how we update those formulas to make sure that they're all accurate. And we also want to know the period sale. So what stock did we sell during the period? So that's going to help us. We want to know that. All the other assets would be something other than a stock, which would be a savings or mutual fund or something like that. All the cash that we have on hand, if there's a specific asset type that's called cash, we want to know that and separate it. And we also want to know the total interest that we've earned on some of those savings accounts, so we can track those. Here we have the risk level. We have some slicers that we can use. So if I only want to see certain risk levels, I can do that. I can also clear that. If I want to see only certain asset types on the graphs, I can do that with stocks. Maybe I only want to view the stocks. I can do that as well. And maybe we only want to see certain sectors. We can use a slicer for that. So we can work on that in slicers. So that's kind of a rundown. We've got that. And I'll be going over a little bit about this dashboard and also the portfolio. Now, all of these assets do have to be stored somewhere, and that's going to be in the assets database. So we take a look here, we see all of our assets, we see the current value, and we also see the last update. Now, that's very important because that's going to tell us the last time we updated their stocks so that everything is up to date. And we go back to the portfolio and we look at that brand new stock, Intel Corporation, and we see that 22 that we have, and today is the 23rd. And so we see it's up to the date, up to the closing of yesterday. So I want yesterday's closing price. And that came in right here. So what I want to do is, let's say we open this application up 3 days from now. I want it to look and I want to say, hey, this is 3 days old. It's time to update. And we can update it automatically on Workbook Open, which can happen. I probably won't do that. I don't want it to run when you open up the workbook, but it's certainly possible to do that. I only want it to run when you click the button, but certainly you can do it. So inside the asset database, it's going to look at these days. Now, if I decide that I'm going to say, hey, 4/19 was the last update or whatever the date is, now it's going to say, hey, we need to update that. So if I go back into the portfolio and I click update all assets, it's going to update one asset and make sure that it's all the way up to date. So it's going to say one stock has been updated. If I run it one more time, it's going to say no stocks have been updated because everything is already updated. So 0 stocks have been updated. So that's really a handy feature. It's going to look at that. So no matter when you run this, it's going to always have the up-to-the-date stock prices and also the up-to-the-date value, so that you know the value of your stock is always going to be the same. And that means that if, for example, let's say we look at this Intel Corporation and there's no difference on here, right? But let's say we're going to pull this up. Let's say we bought it at a lower price, right? So let's say we bought it, we'll change the price. Let's say we bought it at $15 and we're going to save that transaction. That means its current price is higher. So now we see that it's a $451 unrealized profit, meaning that we haven't taken the money out yet. But theoretically, we invested $1,500. It's now worth $1,951. So we've got an unrealized profit of $451. Likewise, if we were to edit that, and let's say we spent $22 on that, we saved that transaction, we now have an unrealized loss of $249. So this $1,951 is based on the quantity of shares that we have and the current price of the stock. And here's what we purchased it for. So we quickly realized that our unrealized profit or loss is going to be automated based on that, and regardless of how many we purchase. So if we purchase an additional stock, if we add a new one and we purchase an additional one at an additional rate, it's automatically going to be calculated as well. So very, very handy feature. We get a little bit of a Sparkline. So all that has to be tracked. All that has to be updated, and it's done absolutely automatically. So this is relatively simple. We simply can add a new stock. If it's a stock type, it'll automatically update based on the sticker, the update all assets. So we can click a button and we can also automate this. So this action, updating all, remember, we can automate that on a workbook open event. So it will be very easy to do. I won't be getting into the VBA code, but if you want to know, let me know and I'll add it on to the Patreon. And also we can add or edit a transaction. So any individual asset can be edited by simply selecting here. Any individual transaction can be edited simply by clicking here. And of course, we can add new and update all. Very cool. Also, I'd like to take a quick moment to share with you one of the best products that I've ever developed, the AI Data Analyst, to create unlimited assistance with any type of data you upload. For example, maybe we want to create a real estate expert. We can do that with just some simple instructions for our assistant. We then save it. We can add any type of resource. For example, even a YouTube video we may want to add. We can just select on the YouTube, go ahead and copy the link and paste it in, and the entire video is there. Even Excel data, we can do that. So for example, we may have some comps. We can add that in with Excel data, select the workbook and the path, and it's done. All that data is in, even PDF ebooks. You can add that in there. Just put the PDF name, the type, and then of course the path of the PDF. We can upload unlimited resources. Once we've uploaded all the information, we then create a chat. In fact, unlimited chats. We can type in our question, whatever we want, and the answers are going to come right to us. This is the AI Data Analyst. I'll include the link down below, and thanks so much. So let's take a look at some of the individual features. We understand that we have an asset database. We also have a transaction database of all the individual transactions. If you want to get into it, we've got a unique transaction ID. We see we've made 2 purchases of the Apple stock, one on 315, one on 320, and the different quantities, the same price, and the fees and commissions and any notes. So everything is tracked here. Relatively simple. The historical data, that's all tracked here. So we have all the historical data. I have a unique ID that helps me understand. Like, for example, if I get the closing price of a certain day, I don't want to keep adding that same closing price again and again. So if I download that closing price from the API, I need to make sure that it hasn't been added before. So what we do is we create a unique ID based on the date, let's say March 10th, 2025, and we base it on the ticker symbol. So I create that unique ID. When I'm downloading it, I'm going to look up for that ID. And if it exists, I know I have already that data and I don't need to add it again. So that's what VBA does. It looks for it so you don't get duplicates. So that way, no matter how many times we click the update button, it will never duplicate the content. And we always have the open price, the high price, the low price, the close, what is the volume weighted average, and the number of transactions. And then this is simply the database row. So when we run that advanced filter, we only want a certain number of results. If we remember here inside our portfolio, whether we want all dates or maybe we only want the last 7 days. So this is just going to be a few transactions. So if we go back into the historical data, we see there's an advanced filter and we see that the results come here. So we can kind of understand that this is where the results come. And then I simply use VBA to bring them over to this area. Very, very cool. So now when I do that, what I also want to know is I want to create a spark line. Now, Sparkline is really cool. We'll go over it real quick. And so you can understand how you can create your own spark lines. These are all spark lines here. So let's just go into this sheet here. And let's say I have some data. Let's say 5, 7, 5, 9, 11. So let's just say I've got some data here across here, and I want to create a spark line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Insert here, and we're going to take a look at this one right here. These are spark lines. We can create several different ones. We're going to focus on the line. So this is called a spark line. And what it's going to do is going to ask me for some information. What is the range of the data? So the range of the data is here. And then it's going to say, well, what is the location of the spark line? Let's say it's K20. And it's going to enter that. And so that's pretty much it. There's different features that we can do. So for example, we can change the color if we want here. We can change it to any color. We can also add some markers like the negative points. If we want certain negative points, we can put those in red if they're there. We can also add different colors. Now those individual items are here. So we can add high point, first point, low point. So we can set all kinds of different markers based on that. And then we can color those individual markers here. So if we want the high point, we can set that to green. Whoa, too fast here. If we want to set the first point, we can set the first point, whatever. So you kind of get the idea. So we could just kind of customize this however we want. And then we have a nice spark line. So now that we understand we've got a set of data and then we've created a spark line and then we can customize that spark line. And that's kind of pretty much all we're doing there. So what I want to do in this case on our portfolio is I want to create a spark line, but I want it based on the last 30 days of data. So we say last 30 days. And what is the change? So what I need to know for Google stock or Apple stock, I need to know the last 30 days. And I need to put that kind of somewhere. And that's exactly what I've done. So what we've done here is we see here that we have day 1 all the way through day 30. So we've put that there. And these are just the values. So how do we arrive at the values? So let's start at the beginning, then we'll walk back. Oh, we'll go backwards on this. So we have the spark line here. So if I take a look at the spark line here, we see that it's all the data. So that means we can add multiple spark lines in the same instance. So when I click the spark line here and I click edit data, it's simply the location range. In this case is an entire column, and the data range is this entire data range. Oops, probably one more extra column that we don't need. So we can go to B, it should be BH, not BI, but that's okay. We get the kind of point here. So I can change this to BH9. So we use a large row and click OK. So it's very easy to add multiple spark lines to the same column, which is very, very easy to do that. So that's all I've done here. And we can see that now the data is going to column BH. So now that we understand how do we actually get that data in here, it's going to come from the historical data. So it's going to come from here. This is our data, right? But I really only want the last 30 days. So here, what I have is a formula. So I've got the tickers here. So we want to know all the tickers. I'm going to have VBA put the list of all the assets, and the ones that don't have anything are just going to be blank. So this is a list of all of our assets, anything that doesn't have a ticker. For example, if we look in our asset database, not everything has a ticker, right? Our savings account doesn't, our cash doesn't, and our savings, our money market savings. So pretty much we want to focus on anything that has a ticker. So we're going to take that and put that there. Then what I want to do is I want to create a formula. Now this formula is kind of complex, but basically what I want to do is I want to look up, and then I have the last 30 days. So the last 30 days of dates are going to be right here. Today is currently the 24th. I could probably make this one day earlier. So here we see that we have I'm going backwards. Today's the 23rd of April. So one day before today is 422. You see today minus 1. So I want to work backwards because I want my spark line to start at 30 days before the current date and go all the way up to maybe one day before the current date. So that's what I want to do. I'm moving backwards. So if this is the current day minus 1, then what's this? This is whatever is in BN minus 1. And we just copy that all the way through there. So that's how we get a list of dynamic 30 days. So that means this will always change every day. It's always going to show the last 30 days, starting at yesterday and going backwards. So we have that. So we see this is 1 month before. So now that we have those dates, what I want to do is I want a formula. And the idea is this. I want to take that date and then use this, GOG. And what do I want to do? I want to look for something that says, let's look at Google down here. Here it is right here. So here's this Google. So what I want to do is I want to look for something that says 324. I want to look at this, 324 and then dash Google. I want to look it up. I want to find out what row it's on. If it's found, then what do I want to do? Then I want to find the closing price, which is right here. So I want to look it up. That's why it's great to have that unique ID. And I want to look it up and I want to find that closing price. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to place it. So we do that with a formula. So the first thing what I want to do is I want to create that unique ID based on the date and based on the ticker. So to do that, we are going to use this. Here it is right here. We're looking up the close. We want to extract that closing price. And I want to match. What do I want to match? I want to match the date. Here's the date, 324, but I need it in a very specific formula, M\D\Y. Why is it that format? Because that is exactly the format that we're using inside our unique ID. It's MDYYY. So that's the format. Then it's a dash. Then it is the ticker symbol. So that's what we're going to match up. So that's what I'm going to bring together. So if we take a look at this, we're looking up the close. We're going to look up what's in AK2. That's the date. We're going to format that data very unique. So this right here, if we just hover over that, I'm going to include the parentheses here. And if I hover over the text and that, we can see that we have that exact date, right? So we see that it's 3/24/2005. If we add in the dash and we add in what's in AJ3, which is the ticker symbol, if we combine all that together, we see that we actually have the exact particular ID. So that's the ID that we have. Now, if we were looking at that ID and we're looking at inside the historical data ID, we're looking it up in that first column. We want an exact match. And we're going to index just this one column, the close. So this right here will get us the close price. Now, because we've got the cell reference fixed to column AJ for our ticker, and also to row 2 for our date, all we need to do is just copy and paste the formulas if we want. That's going to extrapolate it for every single day. So we can paste those formulas. And now what I would like to do is I would like to have it for every single ticker. Now, the only difference is while this is in yellow, what I want to do is I'm not a big fan of having a lot of formulas on my sheet. So notice there's no formulas here. Now, another thing that we could do, I didn't quite do that, but if you really want a streamlined workbook, I don't need the formulas once they're there. I can copy this with VBA and paste the values in here. Now we've got the values. All we need is the values and there's no formulas. All we need to do is keep one row of formulas. Now the reason is VBA is going to take care of the rest. So for example, if I delete this, all I need to do, even this here as well, all I need to do is make sure that VBA handles the formulas remain. We need one row. And if I update it, let's go ahead and update this. Let's go back into the portfolio here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a little bit of a save. Once I save it, it's going to automatically update it and relist it. We're going to go back into the historical data and we see that everything's been returned. VBA returns the tickers. VBA is going to take all of these formulas and bring them down. Now, one other step that I could do would be to remove these formulas and leave the values. What we do is called calculate on demand. And the reason is we don't need formulas when we don't want them. We want to keep our workbook as light, as fast as possible. We only want the formulas in cells when we need them. Otherwise, we don't. So all we need is one row of formulas. We can then use VBA to bring down those formulas. Once I have all of the data in here, all I need to do is just copy this and then using VBA, paste it into the right areas. And that correct area is directly here and it would start out right here. So all I need to do is bring the data right here and that's it. So once we have the data in here, automatically our Sparklines are going to populate. So it's very, very easy to do that once we have the data in the right format. Okay, next up, I want to share with you this really cool. We have the unrealized profit or loss, and we have some really cool formats in here. If we take a look into the home, and we see that we have a custom format. And if I go into the more number formats, we see that we have something called green and red here. And that's kind of a nice. So if we take a look here, this is going to be our positive. So first, is our positive, separated by a semicolon, and our negative. So what do we want to do? We have some colors that are all, oops, let's pull that up one more time right here. This is what I want. So we have some information that we want to show as a positive, so we want to give it a very good color. Now, the initial green color I really didn't like, so let me show you what I did. So I'm going to clear the rules from, I'm going to manage the rules. And I just want to delete one rule and apply. We'll recreate it. Now, this is the green. It's kind of too light. You see that? So this is the green that we use. So if I were to go into back here, I want to show you one more time, more number formats. And I'm just going to remove the word green. We're going to click OK. And so we see that everything is in black, it's positive, and red is negative. So we have some colors to choose from. However, I didn't really like this light green. So what I did is I added some conditional formatting. So all we need to do is just highlight the column, whatever we want to do. We go into the home, we go into conditional formatting, and we create a new rule. And this one's going to be based on their cell values. So we have the cell values or only cell that contains. So the cell value here is going to be, we're going to select greater than or equal to. We can use 0, and then we give it a format. So here we're using conditional formatting, and I'm going to use the font, and I'm going to select a little bit of a darker color, which is this one here, and click OK, and click OK. And so here we can use either our initial cell formatting, which can change colors, but we don't have a lot of flexibility on what color to use. We have like green, red, yellow, just the basics, or we can use conditional formatting to further customize it. And so that's what I did here. So we use that. So that means anything that's a negative is going to have that down arrow, and then the amount. Everything that is positive is going to have that up arrow and then the green amount. And so these formulas are going to come directly inside. So we're almost done with this. I don't want to get too into details. Of course, if you want more, I'm happy to share with you. And those come directly from our transactions here. So when we bring over everything, we bring our transactions. Let's go back into the asset database. I want to just show you where those formulas are because they do get quite complex. So here we're simply determining what is the quantity. So I want to know all the quantity of a specific stock that was purchased minus everything that was sold. So that's where we get that formula. Next up, there's two different asset types. Let's drop this down here and I'll be able to just kind of translate it for you. And basically what I want to do is I want to determine the total based on the transaction data, what is the total amount, and if it's based on a specific asset. So we're looking at for a specific asset ID, I want to determine the totals if it's a buy. So how much did we buy? Plus I want to know any deposits that we made. So if we made any deposits, that's important. And I also want to subtract out any type we sold. So everything we purchased minus everything we sold, and also minus any withdrawals. That's going to cover for both bank accounts and for stock accounts. So that's the total investment. So basically everything we purchased minus everything we sold, or everything we deposited minus everything we withdrew. So that can be kind of helpful. And then the current value is what we're going to do is we're going to pull up that stock price. If it's a stock price, I want to know the current value. So if it's not a stock, what we're going to do is we're just going to understand all of the current value plus maybe any types of interest that we earned. So if it's a savings account, I want to know all the deposits we made plus any type of transactions that might have to do with interest. However, if it is a stock, then what I want to do is I want to look up that close price. Once again, we're going to index that close price just like we did. I want to know the last close price. We're going to use the max ifs. This is kind of a nice handy feature. So this is the highest based on the most recent date. We're looking up the most recent date. And so that means even if it's 5 days before, I'm using the max ifs, a very, very cool feature that we're going to look up all the historical quotes, all the dates, and we're going to look at the maximum one. So the maximum one, I want to extract that particular based on that asset ID. So let me just go back into the historical data here. I'm going to look up, here's all the dates. I'm going to look up for a very specific asset ID. I want to look at the most recent date. So for example, let's say this one right here. I want to find Microsoft and I want to find the most recent date and I want to extract the close price. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're using the max ifs, we're using the most recent date based on a very specific asset ID, and we're going to return the close price. That's exactly what I'm doing inside that. And so once we get that close price, so here we're indexing the close price, we're going to multiply that by the quantity. So that means the most recent price by the quantity that we have. So that's kind of essentially it, determining that. And then the profit or loss, in this case, is simply, notice our total investment, and the difference between our total investment and our current value. And that's how we get it. And then it is VBA that brings all of this information over into our portfolio here. So it brings it over. And that's kind of pretty much it. So we've gone through the whole run through. You get an idea. We've gone into some formulas. I don't want to get into too much detail. Of course, if you do want me to go into more detail, if you want me to add more features, or if there's something you want, comment below on YouTube. Let me know through email. I'm here for you. I'm happy to create these really cool comprehensive applications. If you want to learn more about VBA, of course, I do have my basic VBA training each and every weekend. So you're welcome to let me know what you would like to learn, and I'm here for you, whether it's getting deep in some code or whether we're working on the formulas or whether we're working on really cool dashboards. The dashboard data is just pivot data. Now, I'll be updating this. I think some of these balances aren't here, but all the information comes from here. I don't want to keep you too long today. And I'm just going to make sure that these are linked. So if we take a look at this one, we see the link is R3. So if we go back into our pivot data, we see that R3, and then the total stock value should be R4. So that's going to be right here. So this should be R4. That's what I want to do. Update that R4. Now, when we link it automatically, the format's going to change. We see that. So when we want to just change it, we just reset that and we just select on the particular shape again. It's a shape that is actually linked. And once we do it, let's click off that. And then we can just reset that. So it's always that, which is kind of normal. We can set the size and we'll set the font color here. Very, very cool. And the fact that it was bolded, we can double check to make sure that they're all. And if we want to see more, we can. So I'll make sure that these are all individually linked correctly. This is 4, 5, 6. This should be 7 here. This should be 8 here. This should be 9 here. And this should be 10 here. Perfect. So that's basically it. If you want to go into a little bit more detail, I'm happy to do that, but I won't keep you too long. We're already way over. Thank you so much for your continued support. I really do appreciate that. Go ahead and download this. It's absolutely free. Let me know your thoughts, corrections, updates, ideas. I'm here for you, and I'm super excited. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.